What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Bartley Barnes Show. We're back
Yeah.
again. I'm Jacob Bartley, your main host, and this is my co-host Keith Barnes. He's the man
Yes.
of the hour. I named this show "Catching Up with Keith Barnes." Put in a couple of the main things we're going to be talking about, just because for those who don't know, obviously we have a YouTube channel called Apocalypse Movies with our buddies Jake, Brian, and Gio. And Keith hasn't been on, and it feels like months, right?
Yeah.
Feels like months. And there's a reason for that, obviously. But we wanted to we're still gonna talk more stuff outside of this, but I wanted to give Keith. He didn't get to talk about Spider-Man No Way Home. He didn't get to talk about The Matrix Reloaded and a bunch of other. You weren't even on the are your top 10 movies of the year list, were you? I don't think you were.
Top 10 of the year. No, I did that. I wasn't on the most anticipated list.
Oh, that's what it was. That's what it was.
I was in the chat, but I wasn't live.
Yes. Oh, that's true. We'll say hello to a few of our viewers here. We got Star Drew. Thank you, Star Drew. You're always awesome. Gio's here at last. What up, Gio?
Yes, what's
and
up?
Of course, Rachel is here. Hello, Rachel.
My dear friend, Rachel.
Thank you for stopping by. We appreciate it. Keith, it's been a while, like I said, and you first of all, how you been? And if you want to talk about the reason why you've been away, the floor is yours, man.
All right, thank you. I'll make it fast. My daughter, very early in December, actually right after Thanksgiving, my daughter Sophia is 15. She was just sick. We didn't know why. Didn't feel good. Took her to urgent care. They didn't know why. They said, call her doctor. Called her doctor, told her the symptoms. They were like, ooh, take her to the ER. Took her to the ER. UC Davis here in Sacramento, Children's Hospital. We were there all night long. This was December 8th. They said, yeah, we're going to have to send her to Stanford Children's Hospital. And for us, those of you watching, maybe on replay or don't know, we are in Sacramento, California. Stanford, obviously, down in the Bay Area. So it's about a 2-hour drive down there. But long story short, his liver was failing. We don't know why. Still don't know why. But they had to get her down to Stanford. They're like the best liver transplant people in the country. And so they felt it best to send her there. And if anything happens, that she would be in the best hands there. We were there for a while. Things kind of went back and forth. Put her on the transplant list. They decided to transplant. They found a perfect donor for her, thank God. And
that's awesome.
So yeah, so she was liver transplant on December 22nd. She was out of the hospital a week later. We stayed at Ronald McDonald House. She was covering there, and now we are back home. So. Couple of setbacks.
So good to hear, because
here and there.
I'm hearing this full story for the first time myself. So
yeah,
that
was a quick summary. Yeah, but yeah, that's basically it. But it was listen, it was definitely scary, very scary moments in between that I've left out. But it's all worked out so far. She's doing great. And when I say she's doing great, she's doing really great. Yeah, it's a little. She's still not out of the woods.
Yeah.
Yet. And obviously, we have to. She's immunocompromised now, so I will say she actually did test positive last week for COVID, which is the worst thing that can happen.
Oh my goodness!
Thank God, though, she was vaccinated. I got her vaccinated. Just tested her again today. She's negative. She didn't have any symptoms other than a little bit of fatigue early on. But other than that, she was totally fine, which is crazy. For someone in her position right now to get that and be okay, but she was totally okay. Like I said, she tested negative today, so they're still going to keep an eye out. But otherwise, she's doing very well. She's doing very, very well. So
that is awesome, man. Yeah. I'm so glad to hear it, because while that was all going on, I thought about you guys every day, and I was like, just please make sure they're okay. Like, just please. And
absolutely.
it's looking good. It's looking good.
Yes.
So
Thank
I'm
you.
glad to hear it.
Thank you. I said it, on the apocalypse, but I'll say it now. Obviously, their kind wishes, thoughts, prayers, everything. Rachel, obviously, Gio, all you guys, Jacob, Gio, reaching out all the time, checking on me, making sure everything's okay. It really, honestly, I mean it. It meant so much. Really did to hear from you guys. And people checking in, just making sure everything's okay. So, thank you, everyone.
Of course, and thank you, Keith. We all love you, man, and we wish the best for you and your family. So we're gonna talk a lot of movies, some TV, maybe some TV shows if we have time. But I do, Keith and I are big sports guys, and unfortunately, last night I suffered a big loss with my San Francisco 49ers losing.
So let me take this one here. Let me
losing to the Rams.
Yeah. So how are you? Let me ask you, how are you doing, man? Both you and Gio thought about you guys right away. I got a couple of good friends of mine that are all much of my friends are 49er fans, but thought about you guys first.
I mean, in the area we live in, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you said it in the group chat. You said, "Are you guys okay?" I said no. Like usually everyone says, "Yeah, I'm okay." No, I'm not okay, but it's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right.
I was pulling for you guys.
See,
it's a really good team.
I mean, you're not a Raiders fan, but I have a lot of family and friends who are Raiders fans, and they most of them, like for the most part, a lot of them were, because for me, I don't know, like, look, I don't care for the Raiders, but because I have so many people close to me that are big fans of them, when they get close to success, I want them to succeed. And I have a lot of the people that I know who are Raiders fans are like that too, but half of them are just, they want the Niners to lose, and they don't care. Even I saw like Seahawks fans wanting the Niners to lose. I'm like, why? What? Like, the Rams are your rival too. Why? Like, I know arguably the Seahawks and the Niners have been more bitter rivals through the years, you could argue. But I even saw people in our fans of teams in our own division rooting for the Rams. And I'm like,
Rams.
what? Like, why?
It's bizarre, right?
And that doesn't make sense. I would, if anything, like, just say you don't want either of them to win. I mean, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, if you watched the game, there was a turning point in the fourth quarter where we could have possibly closed out the game. Didn't happen, and the Rams went on to win. So hey, look, I'll say nobody expected us to get this far. I didn't expect them to get this far. 5 games into the season, I was like, this year's a waste. I was talking illy about Kyle Shanahan, and then obviously they turned it around. Yeah. They turned it around. I was like, all right, I was wrong. I mean, they're killing it, and they won before last night. They won 9 out of 11 games.
Yeah.
And barely made the playoffs. Obviously, they were underdogs against the Cowboys, underdogs against the Packers, won. And if you would have told me in week 5, hey, the Niners are going to make it to the NFC Championship, and I would have been like, yeah, right. There's no way.
Well, yeah. Not only that, but I mean, to win in Dallas and in Green Bay in the playoffs. Both, I mean, that was really impressive. I fully was like, oh, the Niners are going to the Super Bowl.
And one a one-score game, field goal away from going to the Super Bowl. And who knows what would have happened.
Especially having 6 in a row against the Rams over the last 2 seasons or whatever. So,
that stat actually made me feel like we were going to lose because obviously Shanahan has McVay's number, but I just had a feeling it's like all week people were probably telling the Rams, tweeting at them, you guys lost 6 times in a row to the Niners, you ain't beating them. And I just had a feeling they were more motivated. And honestly, looking at like Aaron Donald on the field and Matthew Stafford, it's like I feel like they wanted it more, to be honest.
But I think both these coaches, again, they've been told their whole careers, because they were both in Washington. So I know them both very well.
They were both in Washington. Kyle Shanahan was the offensive coordinator, and then he went to Atlanta, right? And then McVay became the offensive coordinator.
He was the quarterback's coach, and he became the OC.
That's so funny. It all ties in back to your team.
Yeah. But they're both been told how smart they are, how much offensive geniuses, this, that, whatever. McVay nearly blew the game with having burned all his timeouts with 10 minutes left in the game.
He looked like he was falling apart.
Yes. And I'm like, oh, the Niners got this. Like, they got 10. The Rams had 10 minutes, no timeouts. If the guy makes that interception, the game's over. Because the Rams wouldn't be able to stop the clock.
Well, absolutely. We would have ran the clock out.
But also, Shanahan, stop trying to make Jimmy win the game. Get the ball into your playmakers, Deebo Samuel and Eli Mitchell. That was frustrating at the end of the game. He stopped doing the thing that got them where they were, was running the ball. But anyway, I don't want to go into X's and O's, but that was.
I mean, that's the problem. I mean, the weakest point of our team is the secondary on defense. But
yes,
I mean, obviously, Garoppolo has been in the hot seat with the fans, and his contract's up this year. He's moving on. Honestly, I even said if we win the Super Bowl, Jimmy Garoppolo is not going to be our quarterback next year, because we don't win these games because of him. The team wins them. He's part of it.
Yeah.
He makes mistakes, but
he's just good enough. He usually doesn't lose games.
Exactly. He's just good enough because the team around him, the offense, the offensive line, the defensive line, it's all so good that it covers his incapabilities. It covers up his mistakes. Yeah. And he gets lucky on a lot of throws that should be intercepted a lot of times. And there was two big ones in this game too, for him. But I'm not saying Trey Lance is going to come in and light it up, but I don't think
Trey Lance is ready personally, but we'll see.
I mean, we'll see next year. We'll see. I mean, what's going to get him more ready than real NFL snaps?
Sure.
Yeah. So I just think he needs time. But Gio brings up a good point. He turned into a different QB the moment he tore his ACL. Well, look, he was on that. He ended his first year with the Niners, 5-game winning streak. Then he comes out and tears his ACL right in the beginning of the next season.
Yeah.
And then, look, we went to the Super Bowl the next year, but he wasn't. He's always, ever since then, he's been a game manager. Even that year we went to the Super Bowl, he's a game manager. And look, I've been telling everybody this, like Jimmy Garoppolo, he's going to be a starting quarterback on another team next year, because
absolutely
there's only about maybe 12 to 15 like legitimate NFL starters at the quarterback position.
If that.
And
he's certainly
he's one of them. Even if he's at the bottom of that list, he's one of them. And a team like Washington, a team like maybe the Steelers. I don't know how they could work it out financially. Denver, like those teams that are really good, and they just need somebody to come in and protect the ball. And who knows, maybe he becomes better with one of those teams. We'll see. But and
Gio makes a good point here, and he's right. Look, he played those 4 games when Brady was suspended in New England, and he was pretty good. He won 2 Super Bowls there with New England. He knows what he's doing. Obviously, backing up Brady, but when he played, he was solid, if maybe a little more, slightly more than average. I'd say above average. But I think he's good. In the right system, he can be a good quarterback and lead a team. Maybe to a Super Bowl. He's proven he can get you there.
Yeah, if he's with the right coach and the right team around him.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see.
That would be so ironic if Brady actually retires and then he signs with the Buccaneers.
He goes to Tampa.
I'd never even thought about that until right now, but I could see that actually.
Yeah. They like to throw it. I don't know if he can do.
Yeah, but who else are they going to get? They're not. I mean, what are they? They're going to try to trade for Deshaun Watson or something?
I mean, maybe they can bring back Jameis Winston. Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, I mean that's a possibility too. But
yeah,
who knows? We'll see. Last night hurt. I didn't want to look at my phone. I didn't look at my phone for like a couple hours after that. And my brother was trying to call me too, and I was just, and he even called Taylor because I wasn't answering the phone, just to check in on me. But I'm over. Like it still hurts, like Gio said, but whatever. I'm just happy that I know nobody even remembers the opponent of the Super Bowl winners a lot of times. So nobody's gonna remember who went to the NFC Championship that year, but just
it's an accomplishment.
I think that those football fans that do pay attention to this stuff and do remember this stuff will just at least respect the Niners and even talk when we're talking about next season. Like nobody gave the Niners any credit going into this year. Yeah. And when we talk about next season, just remember them. Don't forget about the Niners.
Listen, it's 2 years ago. They were in the Super Bowl. They're in the NFC title game again this year. I mean, it's been a good couple of years. It's been a good run under Shanahan, despite my criticisms of him. But so you guys still got a lot to look forward to. So you got a bunch of weapons. Like I said, you just got to fix up that secondary. But other than that, I mean, you guys, George Kittle is awesome. That's been my major last few weeks, or last maybe month or so. He hasn't utilized Kittle enough, especially since he's came back from injury.
It's so weird.
I don't know. I'll say
they want Kittle to just be a blocking tight end.
And I'm like, yes.
But the thing is, so Shanahan builds the offense around one player. It's usually built around Deebo Samuel. And I noticed, I mean, he uses the running back a lot, but when Deebo's out, and this happened during the season too, then he designs the offense around Kittle.
Yeah.
And I think a couple of those plays were that Kittle caught the ball and maybe even the touchdown. I'm not sure. I think Deebo was out of the lineup. So he did have to sit a few snaps during this game because he was getting banged up.
Yeah. Deebo Samuel was the best player in the NFL. I've been saying it all season. He's the best player in the NFL.
Who?
He's Deebo Samuel. He's amazing.
I love him.
He's amazing.
I love him. Like,
what a steal you guys getting him.
Because he is, he's like the opposite of a running back that can catch the ball. He's a wide receiver who's actually probably better at
coming out
running.
Of the backfield.
Coming out of the backfield. Like it's insane. And for
amazing.
You to say he's the best player in the NFL, that's crazy, man. Like
I've been saying all year. Honestly, I know it's a bunch of, but I think he's easily in top two.
Well, and it's not crazy because like I was talking about it with my buddies the other night, and they're like, no way, like he's not better than Devontae Adams. And I'm like, I'm not saying best wide receiver. We're just saying best overall player.
I mean,
like
he's as good as Devontae Adams. I mean, and Devontae Adams is amazing, but
and obviously Cooper Kupp is in the conversation.
God, he had the greatest season ever, but there's nothing those guys can do that Deebo can't do either. So
yeah. On the other hand, man, go Cincinnati Bengals. I cannot live with the Rams winning the Super Bowl after beating the 49ers. Let's go. Joe Burrow.
Listen.
Joe Burrow to win. I think he's the first quarterback ever to take his team to the Super Bowl in the first 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
He's the first number 1 overall pick to do it.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay. Yeah. Not rookie, because I know Ben Roethlisberger
went Dan Marino, I think, in his second year.
Okay, so he's the first number 1 pick to take his team to the Super Bowl in the first 2 seasons. And he was injured last. He didn't even play last year for the full year.
Yeah, he got injured late in the season. So he could have.
I can't imagine being a Bengals fan, like, because this came out of nowhere.
And I really wanted Niners.
Hey,
Niners
Jake
Bengals
Berlin's
rematch.
here.
Yes.
Good to see you back, fellas. Thank you, Jake. Appreciate it, man.
What's happening, buddy?
Of course, Jake does all of our wonderful artwork and
yes, sir.
Thumbnails and overlay and intro.
Whiskey Jedi himself.
Yes, the master producer, Whiskey Jedi. But yes, please, Cincinnati Bengals, let's
100%.
go. I've never rooted for another team so hard.
Burrow, I mean, national title at LSU. Got a chance to be only the 3rd quarterback to win national title and a Super Bowl. That would be I really want to see that. I would love to see that. I think he had one of the greatest. His senior year at LSU was like the greatest any quarterback has ever had.
So crazy. And when they drafted Jamar Chase, like everybody knew it was because Burrow wanted him and it was his buddy from LSU. And everyone was saying it was a mistake. They should have drafted an offensive lineman. And look at them now. It's crazy.
That still made me him getting sacked 9 times last week.
Yeah,
But
true.
But no, yeah, he's no.
But
That's awesome.
I mean, Chase is such a difference maker.
That's
So,
amazing. He didn't play last
yeah.
year, which is crazy. So yeah, that's
Oh, I know, like at all. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that's insane.
So,
Any last thoughts on NFL playoffs, man? Before we talk about some
that's it.
movies.
Yeah, I'm pulling for the Bengals. Obviously, I don't want to see. Listen, I know you're a Giants fan too. Yeah, the Dodgers knocked out your Giants.
Mm-hmm.
And now the Rams
Yep.
knocking out your Niners. Listen, I'm all Northern California all day. I'll root against LA in everything. So except yeah. So yeah, I'm pulling for the Bengals, man. Let's go.
Yeah, definitely. So Keith, there was a movie, I don't know if you heard of it, that came out a few months ago called Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yes. No way.
Yes.
Wait. Yeah, No Way Home. I keep
Yeah, I know the
titles in
Hey,
my head.
look. I got Spider-Man Homecoming Cup. This is from
cool.
Studio Movie Grill.
What?
And
Really?
They around the time that Spider-Man No Way Home or Homecoming came out, they would give these with your drink, and I think you could upgrade for $1 to get the cup. And I was like, heck yeah, give me the cup.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I'd known that.
So I love.
I
this
like it
cup.
That kind of stuff. Yeah, I got a Wonder Woman cup from Wonder Woman, but yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So, I mean, Spider-Man No Way Home, man. How many times did you see it? Just the once?
No, this is the first movie, and I don't know if you remember, I put this in the chat. This is the first movie I ever went and saw twice in one day.
Twice in one day?
Saw it twice in one day.
I've never done that before. You must have. Your first showing must have been early in the day.
Well, I had bought the tickets in advance, like everyone in the world.
Yeah.
And then I found out I was gonna probably have to work, so I bought tickets for a later show that day. Then everything happened with Sophia, and I was like, "Oh no, I may not get to go at all." But then I just had a little opening where I was able to. She was okay, and I was able to come home. And so I asked the other kids, "You guys still want to go see Spider-Man?" It's like, "Yeah." So we went and saw it. It was like an 11:30 show or 11:40. We went and saw that, and I forgot that I still had the tickets for the 4:00 show right after that. So I asked my daughter, Charlize, because she loved it so much, and we were like, I still have the tickets for the next show. It's been an hour from now. You guys you want to go to that? The other two didn't want to go, but Charlize and I she wanted to go, so I dropped the other two kids off. Me and Charlize went straight to see the other one, so we saw it like back to back in a row.
Wow, that is crazy.
That was fun. It was a lot of fun.
I would do that for a movie. I just normally don't have time to do that. But you kind of fell into it in a way. Like you didn't plan to do it. Man, that is so cool. Well, that's a story that you'll always have now.
Absolutely.
So it's people like you why the box office did so well. I mean, I saw it the next day right away, and then I saw it like a couple days later with my brother. So I saw it like 3 times in 1 week.
Okay.
But yeah, man. And honestly, normally I used to go watch movies that I love like 4 or 5 times in the theater. Obviously I saw Force Awakens 8 times in the theater, which is crazy. Jake saw it 10 times, so he had me beat. But I used to, if I really loved an MCU movie, like I saw Guardians, 4 times in theaters, and I saw Power Rangers 5 times in theaters when it came out, because I was just trying to say, wow, this movie could be better. But I remember once, this is not a bad thing, but I saw Power Rangers like 5 times, and back then I had like a job where I worked like early in the morning, and then I'd get off at like 1 p.m. Yeah. And one time it was like my 5th viewing, I just fell asleep in the theater because I was by myself, and I was literally the only one in the theater. And it was out for like 5 weeks already. And I literally fell asleep in the theater, not because I was bored with the movie. I had been up since 4 a.m. that day.
Well, yeah.
But anyways, so I normally would go watch Spider-Man No Way Home, and this is one of my favorite movies of all time at this point. But I would go usually watch it 5 or 6 times. But I purposely avoided going that many times because because when I watched The Force Awakens 8 times in like 2 months, I started to get like fatigued with it. I love the movie still, but it's like to shove it in your own face that many times over and over again.
Jacob, my son, you're getting there. So I've been there for a long time. that's part of just with, and I'll say this, I don't want to lead into Star Wars, but just with Star Wars overall, that's how I am. I've just stopped. I did watch Rogue One. I don't know. Watched Rogue One and Force Awakens like a month or so ago. But other than that, I just avoid it because I don't want to get fatigued by it or get. Well, that's the right word, fatigue. You know. But yeah, I do the same thing. I'll something I love. I'll watch it a couple times and then I'll just stay away from it because it gets a little less. I don't want to say special. Maybe I don't know if that's the right word, but a little less special each time. If you watch something a bunch of times.
Well, then I bought the Force Awakens Blu-ray and then I watched it like right away. And I never disliked the movie, but I think the opening, I got fatigued with the opening over and over again.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Right. And see, and that's one of the things like I want to, when I do get the home release, whether Blu-ray or digital, I'd like to have that feeling of, oh yeah, I'm excited. I'm going to watch this again.
Yeah.
So I don't watch movies in theaters that much like that.
I had to see it with my brother because him and I, like, Spider-Man's both our favorite superhero, and we grew up loving Spider-Man together. So I had to watch it with my brother. But after that, I was like, I'm just gonna wait. Yeah, I have the rest of my life to watch this movie. I'm not gonna overindulge myself in it. And let's check out a couple comments we got right here. So Rachel says, I did that for Infinity War, 11:30 and then 9:30.
Nice.
Wow, that's a good one.
That's
one I would have done it for.
That was, you know what? That was too emotionally draining. I couldn't have done that.
True. That's a good point.
I was drained after Infinity War.
So I know what you mean. Like, No Way Home is kind of like a happy movie by the not really, but by the end it's like a big celebration. But this movie, it's like to experience that ending twice. That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
Infinity War in one day.
Batman Begins,
Star Drew, the only movie I went 4 times going was Captain Winter Soldier.
That's
nice.
I could see that. Because that's a movie and I don't watch that as often, but I still love that movie so much. I can see you watching that a couple times in theater in a day.
Yeah. And then Rachel says Batman Begins. It's probably my record before A-List. Had to save up to buy 8 tickets 8 times. Wow. I mean, Batman Begins is amazing.
That's still my favorite Batman movie. So I'm 100% with her on that.
It's great. I mean, honestly, to me, it's like just as good as The Dark Knight, or
I think so. I'm one of I'm one of those people. I say all the time. It's my favorite of that trilogy.
Yeah. So there's a lot to talk about with Spider-Man: No Way Home. To me, obviously, the 3 Peters, the 3 Spider-Men. But to me, and one thing I don't want to lose sight of is I love the villains in this movie.
Absolutely.
Most of them.
Like
seeing because I don't think people think about this. Obviously, Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin and Molina as Doc Ock, you think of them from the same franchise, but they never interacted before. So this is our first time seeing them 2 interact as well. And it was just kind of cool seeing them play off of each other.
Yes.
Me. And
there was a moment when go ahead.
Well, probably I would say my favorite scene without the 3 Spider-Man together in the whole entire movie is when Goblin flips in the apartment. And when Peter has his spider sense and he's walking around and he knows something's wrong, but he doesn't know what yet.
Right.
And then he webs Norman's hand up. And then when Willem Dafoe turns his head, his whole facial structure changes. And I was like, oh my God, this is so good. That's probably one of my favorite moments.
That's one of, and on Willem Dafoe, that's one of the things I want to get to Star Drew's comment about Sandman in a second, because I actually think the Sandman stuff, well, at least the visual stuff, I think it was from Spider-Man 3.
Well, I heard when they transform back to their human selves, it's footage from Spider-Man 3.
Spider-Man 3.
And
that's what
and the Amazing Spider-Man, the Lizard.
Yeah, the Lizard. Yeah, same with the Lizard. Exactly.
Both of them.
Yeah.
So I heard they
came in to do voice.
Bring them in because of COVID or something, and they just because they look exactly the same.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And same
So yeah, I think they
outfits and
just did the
everything.
voice. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Even though that would make sense because they were pulled from that time. But
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah. But no, Willem Dafoe. Well, see, I love how because we've all been saying everyone has been saying for years, like he looks like the guy. He doesn't need the stupid helmet with the helmet, and the helmet was stupid. Always, yes, always.
Like he looks
but
like he could be a
he looks like a
goblin.
goblin. That's the first thing they did. He destroyed the helmet, and then he was just Green Goblin.
So
the
when
whole time.
he puts on that homeless outfit and it's like purple and green, and
Yeah.
when he
Yeah.
so it's all torn up from the fire and explosion, and he jumps on the glider and he looks all big.
Yes.
That's Green Goblin.
Oh, man. Man. So let me just say up front.
Talk about whatever you want to talk about, man. I just had to bring up Willem Dafoe.
No, of course. I absolutely love this movie. It's still not my favorite of the trilogy. I'm still leaning towards Homecoming. Wow. And I was thinking that I thought about that when I watched it the second time. I'm like, well, the issues I have with it are definitely nitpicks, so it's not a big deal. But I just really, this movie is so much fun. It's right there. They're pretty even, but I think I just kind of would give the nod to Homecoming because I was done with Spider-Man, and Homecoming brought me back. And I just really love.
We've talked about it before. We ranked all the Spider-Man movies before.
Yes,
and we both love Homecoming.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, and I can't put it over Spider-Verse still.
That's your favorite. Yeah.
So this is number 3. I mean, it's one. They're 1, 2, 3. I mean, No Way Home is definitely a very close third. A very close third.
And you're not a big fan of the Tobey Maguire films, right?
Well, so here's the thing. No, let me take that back. I am. I appreciate them. I love them. At the time, I thought they were the best movies that I've ever seen, especially the first one. It was such a joy seeing him again. And I think a lot of people had this reaction. I mean, it really brought me back to both those guys, Garfield being the other one. But seeing him again was just like, oh,
yeah.
I remembered how much I enjoyed those movies, and apparently he wasn't well liked, and obviously he's whatever all the stuff about Maguire, just in Hollywood in general, blah blah blah. But I heard a story that Joe Manganiello was on. Whose podcast was he on? What's it? Lex Luthor from Smallville. I think it was that guy.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
I think he was on that, and he told a story about how some crew guys were going to pay him like $100 to actually punch Tobey Maguire.
Oh my goodness!
And he was like, "No, man, I'm not going to do that. I'll be the guy that punched Spider-Man."
It probably would have ruined Manganiello's career. He wouldn't have went on to be.
That's what he said.
went on to be a badass. They need to do something with him as Deathstroke.
I know.
I don't even care. Bring him into Peacemaker or something. Do something. James Gunn do a Deathstroke series, or bring Deathstroke into the Suicide Squad 3 or whatever. Yeah,
absolutely. They could fight. Or I don't know if he'd be in. He's not usually in. I mean, he could do whatever you want. It doesn't matter. I mean, he'd be a good villain for them though. But Tobey, it was really great to see Tobey Maguire. So it definitely gave me.
Well, I'll say, a lot of people are giving obviously Andrew Garfield a lot of praise and Tom Holland a lot of praise, and I saw some people complain that that Tobey didn't feel like his Spider-Man from that movie, and I completely disagree with that, because what's the first thing he says when he shows up? He's like, "Oh, sorry, I saw this thing here and I walked through it. I hope that's okay." That's exactly how his Spider-Man was in the movies, and he's just a more grown-up version of
He's grown. That's exactly right. He's grown. They've both grown. Well, I will say Andrew Garfield was the MVP of this movie.
Oh, absolutely.
You could tell you remember how much he really was so happy to be cast as Spider-Man. He talked about how much of a fan he was growing up, and he seemed to be really upset about not being able to, make a Spider-Man 3 or losing.
Yeah, because
he's role.
He's a diehard Spider-Man fan.
Yeah.
And I guess I didn't know this, but a lot of that has to do with the original Spider-Man movies, the Tobey Maguire ones.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And exactly, you're exactly right. And that leads to that shows. It showed in his performance in this. You could tell he loved both those guys. He loved being able to get back in the suit again. Apparently, that was his original suit from Amazing Spider-Man.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I just saw that the other day. And so that shown in his performance. You could tell he was truly happy to be there and to be sharing the screen with both those guys. It really came through this performance. And that was the biggest. I'm telling you, and everyone saw it all opening day. So the reactions in the crowd, I mean, that was so much fun. But it was truly a earned moment. It didn't feel like, oh, they're just doing this to get, reaction, or to get, I don't know. It wasn't stunt casting. Like, it was actually fit into the story.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And but it was also, I mean, it is fan service, but done well. And
when they show up, there's still like over an hour left in the movie.
Well, exactly.
Like about an hour left. And because how the villains come in so early. So we know these villains from their movies and from their universe. So first of all, I love the way they brought the Spider-Man in, like into the movie specifically, but it just made more sense because they didn't just show up and be like, yeah, let's have you take down a villain. It was like, no, I know, Dr. Osborn. I know, I know the Lizard. Like I've cured them before, whatever. Or I've been thinking about a cure. Like it all tied in narratively.
I love that
to what was going on.
That. Yeah, I love that moment where he said, "I actually been thinking about this for a while." Like, and I that was great. That was a great moment. Because at this point, he's the older Spider-Man. He's kind of like the Spider-Man from Spider-Verse, not the original, the Chris Pine, the one that Chris Pine voiced, the one that died.
Oh yeah.
Like, he kind of made me think of him a little bit.
Yeah,
where he's a seasoned veteran.
Like I love young Spider-Man, but I've always wanted to see a 35-year-old, and he's like a 45-year-old Spider-Man or whatever.
Yeah.
But I always wanted to see, like, I'm not saying I want a whole new Tobey Maguire movie. I'd be down, but I always like if Tom Holland really plays the character like for 20 years, like Hugh Jackman did Wolverine. I hope he gets to a point where he can be like old man Peter Parker or whatever, and like be an adult and start Parker Industries, whatever,
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, there's been people have been calling, including myself, was calling for Amazing Spider-Man 3. Let's see what Andrew Garfield's been doing all this time. That's one minor nitpick I do have, is that when they're telling the stories of when Tom Holland asks, like, what's the craziest villain you guys fought? They really only talked about the stuff that we saw in their movies.
I noticed that too, and
they didn't talk about anything that happened after.
I get what you're saying, because obviously they've fought other villains, right?
Yes. I think there's a reason for that, though.
Yeah, I think they didn't mention them on purpose.
Yes. Yeah. I thought this. Yeah. Okay, we're on the same page here. I thought the exact same thing. I think they're saving any of those stories for possible. I don't know if it'd be a series or a movie or whatever, but
the thing is, they can look. Sony owns those movies. All the Spider-Man movies that they made, they own. So that's why they can do this and put those characters in this movie, and they can do whatever they want.
Absolutely.
Like, they don't need permission from anybody to make an Amazing Spider-Man 3 or even to just tell a story with those Spider-Men included at all. And look, I'm not going to take credit for this, but a lot of people have been saying it, especially Jake Berlin on Apocalypse, that it makes more sense for me to see Andrew Garfield in Venom 3.
Okay, sure.
Because we know Venom is not from the main Earth, the main timeline. We know Andrew Garfield isn't in the main timeline, and we know Toby already has his Venom. Andrew never had a Venom.
Right.
I don't know if there's anything to contradict that unless they say, because if that's the case, then Eddie Brock already knew that there's a Spider-Man in his world because Spider-Man's famous, right? Everybody knows there's a Spider-Man. Like everyone on Earth knows about Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So it would have to be a situation where his like Eddie Brock and Venom already knew. They knew that in their world in New York there's a Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So, well, of course you could do it multiverse style. Like you can,
yeah.
Of course you can do it that way, but I would love, as long as there's no major contradiction, like just for it naturally to be that in that world, like he's the Venom of that Amazing Spider-Man world.
Yeah. That could do that. Speaking of Venom, we'll just jump to that really quick. I'm glad they did what they did.
Sent him back.
Yeah, because that. Thank you. But now they can do a proper Venom in the MCU, not that silly one, that the silly Tom Hardy one. And they actually have a Venom that has the ire towards Spider-Man that Venom does. Like that's the whole reason that that's the whole thing of the character is that he hates Spider-Man.
So
it doesn't have to be Eddie Brock. It can be.
It can be anybody. Well, it's the combination of Venom, the symbiote hates Spider-Man, and whoever he attaches to hates Spider-Man. Yes. Obviously, Eddie Brock doesn't hate Spider-Man, that Eddie Brock. But to me, it's like so if you know at the end of you saw Let Them Be Carnage, or did you at least see the post-credit scene?
I saw the post-credit, yeah.
Okay, so in the post-credit scene, the symbiote says we're a hive mind connected through galaxies.
Yeah.
And I think they have a hive mind throughout the multiverse.
Yes, I think so too.
And it's all connected. And even in the comics, it gets even crazy. There's like a prime Venom spider or something like that. I don't know. I don't know my history on that, but I know in the comics it gets even deeper than that.
Yeah.
So in my thinking, in the hive mind, every Venom, because some of them do, every Venom has some inner type of hate towards Spider-Man.
Right.
Because when he turns on the hive mind or whatever, and he comes up on the screen and he sees Spider-Man at the end on the TV, he says, that guy. And guy, what does he mean, that guy? Venom knows who he is.
Right.
Like Venom knows about Spider-Man.
Yeah, that could be he's connected to the Spider-Man.
And so the hive mind knows that, like, if Topher Grace's Venom knew that Peter Parker was Spider-Man,
yes,
then so does every Venom.
And he hated Spider-Man.
In a way. Yeah.
So
that means that little piece of symbiote that was left behind, part of Venom, whatever the case is, that's still a part of the hive mind that hates Spider-Man. So whoever it connects to will have that already built in. I had a crazy idea. What if J. Jonah Jameson gets the symbiote? Because think about this. He hates him. He hates Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And he was obviously in No Way Home. And look, nobody has talked about J. Jonah Jameson in that movie. He was awesome. Just to have him back there throughout the whole movie. That was cool. Obviously, it's a variant of the original one.
Yes.
But so the movie ends doesn't end, but at the end of Spider-Man No Way Home, when they're giving like the news recap and he's like, oh, Spider-Man's a coward. He won't reveal his identity, basically telling us that the world doesn't know who he's Peter Parker anymore. And he says, I will do whatever it takes. And like till the end, I don't know exactly what he says, but he's like, I'll do whatever I have to do to bring him down and make him pay or whatever. And I'm like, why'd they like put that right at the end?
Sure.
But obviously J. Jonah always hates Spider-Man. So it could just be that.
Well, yeah, it's that. And also, I know at one point his son actually, I believe it was his son that had the symbiote.
It could be that too.
Originally, maybe before Eddie Brock. I think I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think because his son was an astronaut.
I don't want them to do Flash Thompson.
I don't think it'll be him. No, I don't think it'll be him.
Not that I have anything against Flash Thompson or even the Flash Thompson in this world, but he doesn't even hate him.
No, that's what I'm saying. He's a different version of that character, so I don't think he would do that. But
he actually is like even more of a fanboy now that you find out that it's his friend. Like it's pure,
exactly.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So that wouldn't make sense. So they could introduce a new Eddie Brock,
right?
they
It's the kind
could
of thing what they'll
do
do.
they could do Harry Osborn, a new Harry Osborn,
Right.
and make him Venom.
Yeah.
Could do
Yeah.
that.
Absolutely.
Or it
Because
could,
we haven't even seen the any of the Osborns in this universe yet.
yeah.
So,
And if you think about it, so Harry Osborn, or no, Norman Osborn, when he's talking to Aunt May at the homeless shelter, he says Oscorp doesn't exist, and my son. So
okay.
I'm not saying the Osborns don't exist, but they're not the same in this world.
Right.
So they could be a middle class family living in Detroit or something. No, we don't know. But in that main world, it's not Oscorp and the Osborns.
You're right.
But I'm still down for like, oh, the Osborns are a different family in this universe. Maybe they're not as wealthy or whatever, and he could still meet that Harry, you know?
Sure. Yeah, and be friends with him.
But like, what do you want to talk about most about Spider-Man No Way Home? Is there anything else you wanted to praise? Anything? I'm down to talk negatives because for me, look, the movie does have flaws.
Absolutely does.
For me, all the stuff that I enjoyed was so damn good that like the flaws aren't enough to like ruin the movie for me, or even for me to be, because I tweeted it like it's one of my favorite comic movies of all time. So the flaws aren't enough to not allow it to be that. But what were some things that you wanted to bring up specifically?
Well, so that's kind of why I did give it the edge slightly to Homecoming, because I will say the first 30, I still have my notes, and I wrote the first 30, 35 minutes of this movie are kind of silly. And it felt like the last movie, the Europe one. What's it called?
Far From Home.
Far From Home.
Which
kind of felt a little goofy.
Every time I watch Far From Home, I like it less and less.
Well, I actually watched it, and we watched both the first two before this, and so
it's not a bad movie.
It's still good. I still enjoy it, but it's really silly.
Like, I love Jake Gyllenhaal, but
he's awesome. Yeah,
and he's great in the movie, but still that scene to me when he reveals himself as the villain is still weird.
It's
still so cheesy to me.
Yeah,
and
him telling
over
the whole story,
and it's like a whole. Like, that doesn't seem real. Like, the whole, like, a group of people, and they're like, yeah, let's get Spider-Man. Like, what?
Yeah, it was, him telling the whole backstory of what they did. And it's just like, well, I don't know. I agree. And honestly.
But I get what you're saying. It felt like, so at what point to you does it change to being No Way Home?
Well,
after the Daredevil scene, maybe.
I'm gonna get to that. That's gonna be my next point. But this movie actually changed for me when Aunt May died. That was when I'm just like, oh wow, and I think to me it's a totally different movie after that, and that's where it kind of brought it back for me.
And to me, that's one of the reasons why this movie's so great is that. A lot of people, we were doing our like big speculation episode before the movie came out, and a couple of us mentioned like, what if, because people thought they were going to kill Happy, because you see in the trailer there's a big explosion, he pulls up or whatever, and I was like, what if they kill Aunt May? And people were like, no, they would never do that. Like,
see, there you
this
go.
Spider-Man needs Aunt May, and I'm like, they did, and I love that it was Green Goblin that did it.
Yes,
because Green Goblin is Spider-Man's number one rogue,
and someone he couldn't, like, that was a fight, like he couldn't really beat him. Like he was having, like, he actually met his match for once. I mean, this guy, he fought Thanos, and then and this guy was just, and this isn't just it's not Jake Gyllenhaal who's mad at Tony Stark, or Michael Keaton mad at Tony Stark. Like, this is a guy that is lunatic, who just wants to kill people. And is as strong, if not stronger than him, and he couldn't beat him. And he was
literally saying like,
family.
He was literally saying like, you need this next step. Like, you're gonna thank me later.
Yeah.
It's freaking crazy, and I love how Goblin, like, even though he knows it's not his Peter Parker, he still treats him like it's his Peter Parker. Like I'm still gonna F you over, Peter Parker.
Exactly.
Like,
and he was treating it like, oh, this is my rematch here. I'm gonna beat you the way I wanted to beat that other one.
And if you think about it, so to me, that's a good point because you have that, because I love the apartment scene, like before everything blows up and Goblin turns. So to me, it's like that combined with the Aunt May death, and then right after that is when the Spider-Men come in,
when the other guys show up. And I will just say, because I want to get to Charlie Cox, but I had no idea. I didn't see any of the leaks because I don't watch anything. I don't look at the internet. I don't look at stuff I don't watch trailers over and over again. I stopped doing that years ago because I want to be surprised in the movie. So I had no idea. Actually, like in my head, I'm like, okay, they're going to be in this movie. But also, I had let myself get to the point. I think I may have mentioned it on Now a few months back. Like, I think there may be a chance. I think people need to be braced for them not being in this movie.
Well, I didn't know for sure either.
Right. Yeah. Like, and there was no one has said that they're going to be in this movie. And I just as a just to be a bit antagonistic, I was like, it'll be so funny. Like, people will be so mad if they're not in this movie.
I know.
Because they've all convinced themselves that they're going to be in this movie. Like, it's going to be it'll be hilarious when everybody's going to be so upset when they're not.
And then judging the movie just based on that. Like,
them
whether
not
or
being
not they're
in it. Exactly.
In it. Yeah.
Exactly. So, honestly, in my head, I was braced for them to not be in it. And so, the moment Ned opens this portal, they're in his house, they open that portal. And I saw, you see him in the distance, and so I'm just watching the movie, and I'm like, okay, and I went, oh, like as soon as he turned around, and you still see him in silhouette, but I start nudging my daughter. It's like, oh, that's Andrew Garfield.
You can tell from the stature and
you can tell
the suit.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, I flipped that. I actually did. Like a whole theater exploded.
And then knowing that Toby was coming any second now, was like, that was God.
Such a joy. And it was genuinely like, oh, like you really like seeing these guys again. Like it was, I don't know how to describe it, but it was very well done. First of all, very funny scene. I loved the back and forth between him and Ned and MJ. But okay, why are they so afraid to make Zendaya Mary Jane Watson? Why are they doing this? Why are they Michelle Jones Watson? She's like, I don't go by or Watson. It's just Michelle Jones. I'm like, why are they just make her Michelle? Why are they so afraid? That was so annoying.
Because they want to differentiate themselves from the original, but
they're still calling her MJ and they're saying her last name's Watson. Like, just oh my gosh, like you're doing it without doing it. But anyway,
maybe they don't want to call a character Mary Jane. I don't know.
Goodness gracious, yeah. I'm like, why is this anyway? But I do want to jump to Charlie Cox. That was one of my favorite parts of this movie. If not, that was easily top 2 or 3 moments in this movie. I saw that
we didn't know, like that.
No idea
for sure. Didn't know. Right. Like we had speculated before, like as a joke, like what if he's Peter Parker's lawyer? Like,
oh man,
it was like a fan cast.
I went out loud.
Thing. I went. I love that because that was
freaking awesome.
I love that Daredevil show.
Absolutely, and man, that's such a great moment and a great. I think we'll see him like that. I don't know if we'll get individual Daredevil stuff. He's got to be in She-Hulk. I mean, they got to do a lawyer thing.
I agree.
Yeah, like I don't see how they could not do that. So I think they'll maybe use him like that before. I don't know if we'll get a movie necessarily.
No, I think he'll be in other shows and other movies.
I actually
possibly a series.
I thought he was gonna. I was expecting him actually in my head. I was expecting to see him in Hawkeye.
I mean,
because of the characters to show up in that.
Mm-hmm.
I actually thought he was going to show up as soon as they mention the big guy or whatever Clint says. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh well, I think me and Gio talked about it. We all talked about it before.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know whether or not they 100% confirmed this or not, but to me, they're variants.
Yeah, probably.
I don't think
no. Well, no. They said. I think they said that the I think Vincent D'Onofrio himself said he's the same one from.
So he said. So the thing is, he says it is the same guy. We try to bring over as much as we possibly could, but obviously in this world he can take more of a beating. And I'm like, okay, so I don't think the actor understands, but that's he's a variant. Like, I think he's saying they tried to. I think they're variants because obviously what happens with him in Hawkeye, like you've seen Hawkeye, he never took that much abuse. In Daredevil.
But remember, his suits were basically stab proof and bulletproof and fireproof and all that stuff. So his clothes were like.
Were they in Daredevil too?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So that's possible.
Remember that Taylor, the guy that made Daredevil's suit, is the guy that he went to him because he made Kingpin's clothes.
Okay, so I guess we'll find out for sure one day. But.
And those shows are set in the MCU. They reference the Chitauri invasion all the time.
To me, it's like they're just different. They seem different to me, but we'll see. I mean, who knows? Hey, time has passed since, like, if their shows took place in real time, when did Daredevil season 3 air? Like over 5 years ago. So, and there was the blip, and there was the blip. So who knows what happens? Who knows what happens?
Well, now that leads me into one of my kind of nitpicks for Spider-Man, and we'll move on. I got a bunch of other stuff, but we can get to it another time. But is that they just this movie was like, okay, the whole world's going to find out that the whole world's found out I'm Spider-Man. Jake Gyllenhaal framed him for murder. That seemed like that's the story of this movie. But it's more like they really hand waved that away immediately, and they didn't even address it again. Like, it seemed to be just they have this lawyer show up and he's like, Matt Murdock is like, yeah, don't worry, it's all taken care of. We're like, that was supposed to be the.
They rushed through. They basically jumped from, the case is starting, boom, case is over.
It's over. And we have no idea.
I'm okay with that because did this movie have time for it?
Well,
not really.
I think that would have been a much more higher stakes thing. Is that okay? He's fighting murder charges potentially, rather than, well, I don't want the world to know I'm Spider-Man so that my friends and I can get into college, because that's essentially all it is. Which is kind of like, in this universe, everyone, like, there's no secret identities. He's the only one that, like, everybody knows that Tony Stark's Iron Man, Steve Rogers is Captain America, Clint Barton is Hawkeye. Like, have a plaque outside of the old Avengers Tower with all their names on it. It says, it's Natasha Romanoff. Like, the whole world knows everything. Why is it such a big deal that he's Peter Parker is Spider-Man?
That's true.
And it kind of just, that kind of bothered me. Just watching, like, this felt kind of dumb, like, and it's not a huge deal, but just
I see what you're saying. Like, if anything, the colleges would be like, Spider-Man, please come to our school. Like,
so
wouldn't they?
Okay, like, they want to go to MIT. Who in the MCU is the most famous person that went to MIT?
Is it Tony Stark?
Tony Stark.
No? Yeah.
Yes. So, like, Happy Pepper Potts, call one of them and say, hey, can you talk to MIT for me? And give me, like, what is, I was just thinking that. I'm just like, I can't believe they didn't think of any of that stuff.
And honestly,
when they wrote this. Like,
even somebody like Tony Stark has had way more controversy than Spider-Man ever has. He gets framed as a murderer for killing one person. Like, a lot of people blamed wars on Tony Stark and blamed millions dying on Tony Stark.
Yes, exactly. And that was a hero. Like, and plus we know the Avengers saved the world, and he's one of them. So I just don't understand why is everyone so mad at him, like, everywhere he goes. So essentially, it's just he doesn't want anybody to know who he is.
And that's where the whole story hinges on, is the whole reason
all this happened.
You're
right. So that's where I'm kind of like, okay, that feels kind of dumb. Like, all this happened. Now your whole life, the whole world has changed just because you don't want everyone to know who you are, so your friends can go to college. Like, that's the stakes to me would have been higher if he was actually facing, all right, I'm in legal trouble here. Doctor Strange, can you help me, or I'm going to go to prison forever. Like that to me would have, you know. But also, yeah. That's what
Well, I just don't think they confirmed it yet, but trust me, I want them to be the same. I just brought up a comment from Jake saying he's the same character. Totally disagree. Same Murdoch, same Kingpin. I want them to be the same Murdoch and same Kingpin because I'm so invested in the storylines in those shows, and I want that to carry over. I hope so.
Oh yeah, I agree. And like I said, those shows reference the Atari invasion all the time. So definitely, let me pull up this count here, Jake, if I can. Now, I agree with you with the Tony thing. It didn't have to necessarily be Tony, you know. I agree. But also, you're trying to go to Tony's alma mater, though. Like, so it kind of, I don't know, it would make sense.
It's almost like unnecessarily avoiding it.
Right. You know, and also, growing up and dealing with it on his own, but he didn't. He went to Doctor Strange and said, can you change the whole world for me so that my friends and I could go to school? And here's the thing. They address it in the movie, the whole thing about hanging a lantern on it, because Doctor Strange says, why didn't you just call them and talk to them? You didn't call the school, so you're going to have me do this spell, change the world, and you didn't even call the school to shout. Like, so there.
Or isn't there a simpler spell like allow Peter and his friends into MIT?
You're right.
Boom.
Well, there's a meme I saw where I think it was, hey, Doctor Strange, can you make the whole world forget Mysterio and anything he ever said? And he's like, sure. And then it just shows the credits.
Yeah, exactly. So that's true. That's a great point.
I get that.
I mean, we could do this with every movie,
that's
right?
What I'm saying. And but I think the point is that this version of Peter is book smart and tech smart, obviously, but he's still kind of a knucklehead kid who doesn't really know fully what he's doing all the time. And so I convinced myself about that in watching the movie. So I was able to let it go. And see, this is what I'm talking about. It's not about thinking too hard about Geo, because I know that, but I'm just saying these are stuff that you watch a movie and you can kind of wait, why don't I just do this? But what I do like, and like I said, the movie was a little silly for me. I love the moments when Doc Ock shows up, which is really cool.
Oh yeah,
I love that. That was such a cool scene. But like I said,
looks so good, that highway scene. Man. Yeah.
I'm telling you, I loved it. I don't know who called it. It may have been Jake on the show at one point, called like maybe this Doc Ock is good, or because it looks like there's, I think maybe
that they're working together. Yeah.
Because I think there was something in the trailer where it did look like Peter was controlling the arms a little bit, or they weren't. I don't know. They weren't.
Well, we saw him under in the lair talking to them, so you could make it up in your head like, oh, they work together at some point after that. Yeah,
that moment when the nanotech goes on to the arm
looks so cool.
I was like, oh, and then he starts to control it. I was like, oh, that's well done. That was awesome. And
honestly, like, it was so genius that they decided to, they've been setting up the multiverse in several projects, right? And then they bring these characters in, and it's like Melina's Doc Ock already looked badass enough, even in Spider-Man 2. Yeah. So, like, I don't want to see a new iteration of Doc Ock. Like, they were able to use that one and have him fight him.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I love that. Because how much cooler can you make Doc Ock? You can't make him much cooler than that.
I know. Yeah. I love this version. The de-aging stuff looked really good too. I will say that. It looked very, very good.
They continued to make Doc Ock better. They made Green Goblin even like much better than he was in the original Spider-Man movie.
Absolutely. Yeah. So,
and also shout out Jamie Foxx. They completely the Electro character amazing in this movie.
I think I tweeted it. My favorite line in the movie where he's like, "Man, I thought you would be black. You're from Queens. You're always helping people. You wear a costume. I just thought you'd be black." Andrew Garfield's like, "Sorry." And it's like, no,
and
okay.
Which also brings up a plot hole if they're saying that every character brought over new Peter Parker was Spider-Man, which I don't think Doctor Strange. I think Doctor Strange was guessing that. So I don't think he knew that. How would he know that for sure? I think he was just speculating because every person that they met, but they never asked Electro.
That's true.
Do you know? Is there a Peter Parker in your world that's Spider-Man? He just knew Spider-Man.
I was trying to remember. Was there a moment where he revealed himself to him in Amazing Spider-Man 2? And I don't think so.
No, I mean he wouldn't have said that line though. He wouldn't have said.
You're right. You know what?
Or maybe he's referencing. Oh yeah, I found out you were Spider-Man back then, but now that I'm talking to you face to face, I thought you were. I used to think you were black. Possibly.
And then
that could be it.
Says the line. There must be. It's okay. There's got to be a black Spider-Man out there somewhere. And I was like, yes.
That was one of the cheers in the crowd. There were so many claps and cheers, but that was one of them.
So I wonder if we see Miles in live action, will it be in that universe?
Possibly.
I think that would be the universe to do it. Then you can do it in India.
That would be cool because, Tom Holland's Spider-Man is still too young to take on, to be somebody's mentor.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And
Andrew Garfield would be perfect.
But see, that's why I'm so down for Andrew Garfield to be in the Venom universe because, him and Tom Hardy would interact well together.
Yeah.
Like Andrew Garfield and Tom Hardy, they look like they're around the same age, so they can have whatever's going on with their characters, whether they're against each other or working together, they can have some camaraderie. But with him and Tom Hardy and Tom Holland, I couldn't see it, I couldn't see any character chemistry between them.
100%. You know what? I think I agree with you there, Jake.
And go on that point, that's what I was going to say is that
and there you go.
He would make more sense to be Miles Morales' mentor. It would make more sense. I mean, unless they're going to do some more stuff with Tobey, but we'll see. Anything else you want to bring up about No Way Home?
Nah, that's it. I do just when we get to the end, let's go jump to the end here. I do like, and Jake made a good point in one of his comments earlier when he responded to what I said about, now this is all kind of his responsibility. He's got to deal with the consequences. And that's true. That's a good point because I do like what they've done with this Tom Holland Spider-Man now. They've actually brought him back to the standard Spider-Man that we're used to.
Yes.
He's broke.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the backing of S.H.I.E.L.D. or Stark Industries. He doesn't have any tech. He had to make his own suit. He's got to get a job now. He's got to go to school, probably community college or something somewhere. He doesn't. It's sad he lost all his friends, unfortunately. I don't think that's going to last. I think something's going to happen where they're going to remember him somehow, or something's going to trigger.
I think he's going to make new friends.
That could happen. We could see, we could get Emma Stone. What's her name? Gwen Stacy.
Yeah, Gwen Stacy.
We could get that. We could get any number of. Yeah, you're right about that. That's definitely true. But I do like that they've kind of brought him back down to regular bare bones Spider-Man, where he's got to kind of do all the stuff on his own rather than.
No, yeah, I love that because it brings him back to what we know Spider-Man as, and we never thought we'd get there with this character because he had already been exposed to all the Avengers stuff so young,
right?
And it's crazy, he experienced so much. And only he knows that he's been through that.
That's crazy.
What I also think's cool is that they didn't erase Spider-Man from the world, just Peter Parker.
Yeah, exactly.
So Spider-Man still was in the battle at Endgame. So he's still a war hero.
Right.
And he's still in the Avengers. He fought with the Avengers, but he's not.
Right. They still know who he is.
Nobody knows he's Peter Parker. So he can't walk into S.H.I.E.L.D. and be like, hey, I'm Spider-Man. He can interact with people as Spider-Man only.
He probably
in
could.
The superhero world.
Yeah, exactly right. And maybe he could, but they just don't know who he is. And so,
I think if we ever see him interacting with other, Captain Marvel
whoever.
again, she's just gonna be like, "Oh, hey, it's Spider-Man."
Hey.
We met back in, but only as Spider. He didn't say, "Hi, I'm Peter Parker."
I'm Peter Parker. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, even though that's a good scene. Yeah, man, I
loved it. Yeah. Love this movie. I can't wait to watch it again. I'm hoping my poor daughter Sophia, unfortunately, she had it all spoiled for her. So, or she had
in the household of everyone who's seen it.
No. It, the internet just did people.
Oh yeah.
I told her to. She muted all references to everything, but someone posted some pictures, a screenshot of Andrew Garfield, and then she saw another screenshot with Tobey Maguire, and so she was so upset. She was so upset.
Was she gonna wait for like home video release?
I was gonna try to wait because right around now when maybe like an early day showing where there's nobody there and take her to that.
True.
But which I still might do because she still wants to see it. But she knows that they're in it. She doesn't know how, so there's still some stuff.
Yeah,
that she can still be surprised by.
Seeing how everything happens is gonna be awesome for her.
Yes,
I think so.
Yes, I hope I haven't answered this.
I
just thought about I hope I haven't been so loud. I haven't spoiled everything for her.
Oh yeah, let's answer this question from Rachel real quick, and then we'll talk a little Matrix before we get out of here.
Good question.
Does every multiverse forget Peter Parker? I don't
That's
think
a great
so.
Question.
I mean,
I'm wondering where did the villains go? Like, where did all the villains go? Like, because they kept saying
villains that were actually there.
Well, they went back to somewhere, but this is supposed to have gone back to the moment where they supposedly were about to die, but then.
Well, if you think about it, not all of them. So Doc Connors never died.
No, well, that's my point.
He cured him, so not all of them were pulled right before they die.
But Jamie Foxx said Jamie Foxx was like, knew I was about to die, then all of a sudden I was here.
And Sandman never died, so I don't think so. It was never that. I think we thought this, but it was never that all of them were going to die. At least that we know of. Like,
I guess, yeah.
They only confirmed the ones that we know die. I mean, Electro, like, disappeared or whatever. We assumed he was dead at the end of Amazing Spider-Man 2. I mean, well, think about this though. So all the variants are not the variants, but all the villains are coming in from, from up in the sky, right? And he has to do this spell to make everybody forget Peter Parker, right? So then them forgetting about Peter Parker is the reason why they're not coming through anymore. So did he make all those villains that were coming through the sky forget as well?
Forget that and everyone in their universe as well. Like
that would be weird, but
that's kind of crazy. But yeah, I don't think. I mean, because who knows? I don't think that many people with Gwen Stacy, and then her dad right before he died. I don't think anybody else knew that he was Spider-Man.
Because Aunt May never knew, right?
Aunt May never. Yeah, she didn't know, and I don't think. He didn't have any other friends at all. I never saw him talk to anyone else.
I know. I mean, he had Harry, but Harry was away at college, and then he comes back. Remember?
Yeah.
But he eventually found out, right? Obviously.
Yes, he did. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Dane DeHaan, man. Where's Dane DeHaan at?
Oh, I really thought he would be in this. I think Gio was calling for that too. I really thought he would show up in this one, but maybe we'll see him again in another. If they do another weird multiverse thing, you can see him too.
Or just, I mean, I don't have to see him as Goblin. I just want to see him in movies again.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, he was such on a rise, and then he kind of like fell off a little bit. But he hasn't been in anything that good since Chronicle.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So,
I mean, he was great in Lawless. If you remember that?
I didn't mind that City of 1,000 Suns or whatever it was.
Oh, it wasn't terrible.
Or, no,
see, I think
whatever. I don't know.
That's what it was. Like, he was like supposed to be this big star, and then a lot of things flopped that he was in.
Right.
There was that one that one horror movie that kind of looked like a Shutter Island type movie.
Oh, I don't even.
What was it? What is that director? Gore Verbinski.
Oh, okay. I like him. Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, but he directed the movie with Jake knows what movie I'm talking about. We saw it with Dane DeHaan. A Cure for Wellness. A Cure for Wellness is what it was.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he is.
I thought that movie was going to be amazing, and it was so disappointing.
Yeah.
It was so disappointing. All right, Keith, you're also a big Matrix fan, man. I mean, I'm a Matrix fan, not as much as you.
Yeah.
I love the first Matrix, like most people. Second one's not bad to me. It's cool. There's a lot of things I enjoy about it. Third one's okay. Matrix Resurrections, man.
Matrix Resurrections.
What'd you think?
Let me say, the two sequels, hated them at the time. I've actually completely turned on both of them. I think there's a lot of good stuff in each one. So I will say that I've grown to appreciate them more over time than I did it when I first saw them. I was really hoping. Okay, so this new one, I was. Let me just first also say I had to watch it on HBO Max, so I wasn't able to go see it in the theater. Which sucks. I really wanted to go to IMAX and see it, but I wasn't able to do it. I think I've been going back and forth over this the whole time, just since I saw it. It's okay. It's okay. I know you and Gio did a spoiler discussion.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
I haven't watched it yet because I wanted to talk to you about it first and get your thoughts directly from you first. I thought it was okay. I didn't dislike it. Let me just say that. Didn't dislike it at all. But it actually has some really, really good ideas in it. I love Jessica Henwick's character. Yeah. Love her. Thought she's really good.
Yeah, Bugs.
Yes. There's so much stuff where I didn't understand. Like, what is this? I didn't know what.
I just think.
I don't know.
Look, I thought it was okay as well. I was excited for it. I was hoping they would make something awesome.
Yeah.
And I thought it was okay. I don't think it's like a bag of dog shit. Like, I don't think it's that bad.
Not at all.
And the movie was way too meta and way too self-referential.
Extremely.
But I like that stuff when it's done well. And I think I kind of liked like the first 30 minutes of the movie when we didn't know exactly what was going on. But once they started explaining everything, I was like, oh my God.
It was a lot.
What is going on?
But I love the idea of the machines are evolving. And
I love that.
Machines now that
they
are
mentioned the machine civil war.
Yes.
And
I love
some of the machines turned and started working with the humans. Like,
I love that.
Why didn't they show us that?
That's what I wish they would focus on more on. I think the biggest thing, and I'm thinking about it, this is probably my biggest issue, is that the action was just kind of meh.
You know what? That's a great point. There's no standout action scenes. And honestly, I felt what's the word called? I felt no stakes.
Yes.
With the action. No stakes.
Because Neo can do anything, and he figured out how to do it. Although he wasn't able to fly, but then at the end he could fly. The ending was just the exact same ending as the original one. The original, nothing will ever happen like that again. But I mean, that was groundbreaking, like actual fight choreography, which like no one was doing, or at least in America, no one was doing. And this one, the action was just standard. I've seen all this stuff before. It wasn't a big deal. Like there was the fighting wasn't anything that stood out at all. I don't know. I think it really missed Lawrence Fishburne, much as I love Yahya Abdul-Mateen. And as Morpheus, although not really Morpheus, but
Wait. So see, that was something I was confused on, and I had to like lean over to ask Gio, and even he didn't know at the time. But so, if I'm not mistaken, so Neo, as the game programmer, created this version of Morpheus, like a digital version of Morpheus, subconsciously, so he could eventually come and break Neo out of the Matrix again.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
It's Morpheus from his game. And
okay, so he designed Morpheus that way.
Yes.
Yeah.
And because I forgot what they were calling it, but programs that can evolve, like they said, that can figure out who and what they are and evolve and break out of whatever it is they're in. Because he created this version of Morpheus and called him Agent Smith. Because you remember they were calling him he was an agent and they were calling him Smith.
Yeah.
And then for whatever reason I forgot what the name they were calling that thing, but they could go in and get him, or he can get out, or one of the vice versa, or whatever. I don't know.
And I will say, look, it's disappointing that Hugo Weaving didn't come back, obviously. But I didn't mind the guy who played Smith.
I thought he was good, but that would have been so much better if it was Hugo Weaving.
Of course, yeah.
Because it's like I love because the way like they were two co-owners of this company or whatever, and like they didn't like each other for some reason, but they don't know why.
Yeah.
And if that had been Hugo Weaving, that would have been just perfect. Like because
that's
two
true.
guys, they're working together, and it's like there's this tension between them, but they're just like, oh, I do not like that guy. The other one's like, I don't like that guy, and they're just and then the reveal. But I thought that guy was pretty good, but just it would have. He's just a guy. Like, I don't know. It just would have been better. But yeah, so there's stuff like that where I love Jada Pinkett Smith in it. I thought she was really good. Like as an older, and I like what we got in the new version of Zion, where they've used machines to figure out how to make.
See, that stuff was interesting. Once they get there, and then he's walking around with her, and we get to see that world. I thought that stuff was cool.
Yeah, no, yeah, I agree. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of stuff I really, 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 really liked in this. So I think like I said, most of all the action to me, and then it kind of does just turn into the original film for a lot of it. And then there's scenes where are they really in danger? I mean, Neo could just get right out of it. I mean, he's using his
that's the thing. I never felt like they were in danger.
Yeah,
ever.
that's why I don't know.
And at least for me in the first Matrix, you definitely feel those stakes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because that was supposed to be like an agent is after you. Like,
and look, you don't need a major character death to have stakes. But
no,
in the Matrix, what's the dude's name? Like that dies right after the deja vu happens in the first movie.
Oh, the kid, the young guy.
Like
Mouse.
That always stuck with me.
Well, because that was supposed to,
like it was scary because I was a kid when it came out. Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. Well, Morpheus explained to Neo like. They built it up throughout that whole movie. Like if you see an agent, you run. Like no one has ever beaten one of these guys.
Yeah, if you die in the Matrix, you die in. What do they say?
Yeah. And they had 3 agents after them. That was supposed to be like a big deal. And this one, there's like 4 or 5 agents, and Neo just uses his pushing force powers and pushes them away all the time. And it didn't really.
And other than Bugs, like you don't really get attached to any of the other side characters.
Right.
And look. Neil Patrick Harris, you and I we love Neil Patrick Harris. Like he does a great job performing the role.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I loved everything he was saying.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And then,
but he was a good fit for this movie, I thought. Like he has that feel.
Yeah, he was. And we knew he was some kind of evil something, Yeah. He's like a new version of the architect. I forgot what they're calling him in this one. But like I said, I'd like to watch it again.
I think it was Mouse who dies in the first one, right?
Yeah. With Mouse and Tank. Yeah, good job, Star Drew. I think this would have been better if they had done a series, maybe. I think we talked. It's kind of the same thing we talked about with Many Saints of Newark. I would have kind of like to see this broken up into a series or something. I don't know if we're gonna get any more. Like it seemed pretty like they're trying to set up a new thing, but didn't do well in the box office. And I don't know. I'd like to see more, but I don't think
the Matrix lore and the Matrix mythology is incredible. I don't want this to be the last thing we ever get from the Matrix because it's such a great concept. And I really do believe, and everybody says this nowadays, but I really do believe that Matrix would work in a series somehow.
Yeah.
And also just tell a completely different or whatever. They moved ahead 60 years in this movie, move ahead 300 years, and then just tell that story.
I think that if they do, and this was one of those meta things they said, like, and they even referenced Warner Brothers in the movie. They're like,
I know, that was so weird.
They're going to make this movie no matter what. Like this.
Yeah.
I feel like if they're going to move on without the Wachowskis at all, either one of them. I know it was only, I think Lana was the only one.
Yeah.
That directed this one. But I think I kind of would like to see Matrix stuff with someone else in charge or someone else writing it and / directing.
Well, that's the thing. It's such great material that you can do something really cool. And it's no disrespect to the Wachowskis. It's
not at all.
Continuing it and trying to do something great with it is honoring their legacy.
Absolutely.
It really is.
Absolutely.
It's not disrespectful at all. It's kind of like Star Wars. We should not stop getting new
Yes.
Star Wars just because George Lucas isn't doing it anymore.
Well, and Lucas, he always said, even back then, he said he wanted other people to take
Well,
on
he
the
tried to get
stories.
Spielberg to direct Phantom Menace.
Right. Yeah.
And nobody would do it because they're like, nope, you have to be the one to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Exactly.
he even obviously he got people to direct episodes 5 and 6 and
yeah. So, but look,
yeah,
I think it's fine. It's okay.
Yeah.
I didn't dislike it, but it was a little bit let down.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I'll watch it again.
Man. Well, I wanted to give you time to talk about those two movies because those are two big ones that you missed. Well, I don't know if you saw at the end of the notes. I don't even remember what our last homework assignments are. We'll just forget about those and move on. I wanted to, in honor of 2021 and all the movies we've seen, I wanted to give each other homework assignments on a 2021 movie that we didn't get a chance to see. So I don't know if you have one in mind for you. I don't know what you haven't seen or not. By the way, I will tell you, I watched last night in Soho. A little disappointed, honestly. So here's the thing. I know what you mean. It is definitely a Jacob movie, and I love the twist. See, the twist is a Jacob movie, but everything happening before that, like what was going on? Like,
I do agree.
Actually, literally seeing those things, again, I felt no stakes because I felt like it was all in her head. Yeah. And it's like, what was going on? Like,
yeah. I had those questions as well. I was like, well, was she dreaming or was that actually real?
Yeah. And they never even explain what was going on.
What that was. And so, that's the only thing that kind of left me a little bit wanting is like, well, they didn't explain, like there was kind of something going on with her mom. Was it something that her mom had going on?
Yeah, it was like, I don't know. They just didn't. The story didn't work. I don't know. But it was not a bad movie.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good.
Performances are great.
Yeah. So I don't know, but let's see. Okay. Well, you mentioned The Last Duel. I need to see that.
I actually need to watch that. I did. It's long, man. It is.
Yeah, is it?
It is super long, and that honestly that disappointed me too because I don't know if you know this. It's not a spoiler, but the story is told in 3 parts, and it's told from Matt Damon's perspective, Adam Driver's perspective, and the woman's perspective.
Jodie.
And I don't know the actress's name off the top of my head.
She was in Free Guy. She was the girl in Free Guy.
Oh, really? Oh, awesome. Yeah. So
Killing Eve. She's on that show. Eve.
So it retells all the story 3 times. Okay. And it's like a lot of it is the same, but like different perspective. Like, and it just got tired.
I'm not a huge fan of that.
It's not bad.
Okay.
It's not bad. Okay. So if I have to, I don't know. Have you seen Tick, Tick, Boom?
Okay. I've seen that. No. Here's the thing. I watched the trailer for that and it looks incredible. And you raved about it on our show about the best of the year. I do want to see it. I hate Rent. But you said you didn't know it was about Rent till the end.
No, so that's a great point. You did say that because you were on the episode. So you said you hate Rent.
Yeah.
I remember Rent and it was very popular and all that. But I literally, until the end of the movie, I had no idea it was about the guy who made Rent. So Rent kind of has nothing to do with it.
Okay.
Like they don't even.
I absolutely want to watch it.
In this movie, he doesn't even like. Well, okay, they say he had worked on Rent before, but they don't even mention it. Like,
really?
He's working on. Yeah, he's worked. Yeah, just if I'm gonna choose one movie for 2021, I think it's my highest ranked movie that you haven't seen.
I'll watch that then.
So that'll be it, and it's not too long. It's on Netflix. You don't have to pay for it or nothing. So that'll be mine.
Okay, I want to watch that then. Yeah, because I wonder. I know what happened to him is quite tragic, but I'll just watch the movie. Yeah, never mind.
Star Drew says, has Keith seen Eternals?
I have, Star Drew. Go back and watch it. Let's see. Gio and I talked about it on Fandom United, and then we did a spoiler discussion about it. I've actually just watched it again the other day because my daughter Charlize hadn't seen it, so I watched it with her.
Thumbs up or thumbs down?
I gotta tell you, I liked it even less this time. I don't know. I thought it was okay when I saw it, but I don't. meh.
It's going to be one of those mediocre MCU movies.
Yeah, that's kind of where it is for me. It's just in the lower half. So yeah. But yes, I've seen it 3 times.
Yeah, so why don't you, if you want to assign a 2021 movie to me, you could list some movies and I'll tell you if I've seen them or not.
Did you watch King Richard yet?
Nope. That's it. There we go.
King Richard. Okay.
Yep.
I said it on our.
That's why I wanted to do this, because like I know as the year goes on, you just forget about the movies from last year, and I didn't want to forget about a couple of these.
Yeah, I said this. I don't want to sway you, but I think I said it when we did our recap show for 2021. It's one of the best sports movies of the last 30 years. Easily.
That's awesome. Yep. We'll do Tick Tick Boom and King Richard. What a hell of a movies to be watching. Hey, Rachel says Eternals is thumb sideways for me. I agree. That's perfect, because I don't dislike it enough to give it a thumbs down, but I don't like it enough to give it a thumbs up.
Yeah.
Thumb sideways.
Yeah. I'm kind of my thumb's kind of like this.
Like
it's not all the way down.
Tilted down a little bit. That's how we'll rate movies from now on. It'll be like this, this, or like this. That'll be it. Yeah. That'll be our ranking system. So I'll tell you how I felt about King Richard on that scale. Yeah. Oh, I haven't seen West Side Story. I want to watch it so bad. I've heard such good things. I do want to see. I've seen West Side Story, so I do want to see it. It's the GOAT remaking West Side Story. I didn't want to watch. I had no interest in West Side Story until I started hearing about it and people saying how amazing it is. Right. So I'm gonna watch. But that one, I do hear it's really good. I did find it interesting because Spielberg doing it. I remember. Yeah, I'll try to watch it before next Bartley and Barnes, but I got to watch King Richard first. So absolutely, yeah. So we'll see. All right, Keith. Well, we're gonna get out of here, man. So good to have you back. Yes. Just so the viewers know, we've been trying to get on track with Bartley and Barnes for a while now, and we're gonna stick. Look, we're not gonna bite off more than we can chew. We're gonna stick to our monthly show. But our plan is to do it at the end of every month for sure, so we can do it like this is our February episode, this is our March episode, etc. For the most part, we'll be discussing stuff we watched that month, and then stuff outside of it as well. Maybe a little sports, music, pop culture thrown in there. So we're gonna aim for like the last Monday of the month. But if it doesn't work out that way, we'll let you know. So for now, we're gonna plan for February 28th for the next show. Well, we do want to try to squeeze in when we can some reviews. Absolutely, yeah. So we still gotta do Scream. We're gonna do like spoiler discussions in between the shows, because we could have spent a whole hour and a half on just Spider-Man No Way Home, right? So we'll do that where we can talk an hour about a movie, and I think the next one should be Scream. I still have the thumbnail ready to go. I don't care how late our review is. I honestly don't care. Whatever. Yeah, I don't care. The people who care about our opinions will come back and watch it. So, absolutely. And talking about you, Rachel, Star Drew, Gio, everybody, Jake out there, thank you guys so much. Absolutely. Thank everybody for watching Bartley and Barnes. We truly appreciate it. This episode, I wanted to spend more time with Keith talking about everything going on, catching up on some of his things. But next month, we'll get right back to talking about current and new stuff. So thank you. For Keith Barnes, for myself. You can find Keith on Twitter at KeithBarnes79. You can find myself on Twitter at JacobBartley824. And you could always find us on Apocalypse Movies. That is our home movie channel with our buddies Gio, Brian, and Jake. And thanks again for listening. And we will see you guys next time.